And finally, we have the economic dimension in development, because we have to produce the life we ought to live. The idea is to organize the production process, to change the production process in order to obtain in a sustainable way the goods and service, the water and the forest, the free time and the cultural and spiritual activities that are the basic elements women and men deserve because they are human beings, the elements of the life people want to live now and in the future. We want everybody to be involved in this production process in order to participate in the common construction and in order to get the income they need to demand the elements of the beloved way of life. It is the decision of orienting the productive process to produce the welfare function of the community, taking into account the culture and the environment, instead of orienting the productive process just to generate profit for the corporations or to produce weapons as the basis of a regional economy just for the war on drugs, the war on terror, or the war on human dignity. We have committed ourselves to development through many social and economic initiatives interconnected. And we see each project as space for dialogue and conflict resolution. We consider the conflict to be dynamic. So we look for the conflict existing in the region, and we transform each conflict into a project. And in the implementation of the project, we try to face the structural problems generating the conflict. To give you some examples, when the guerrillas forced the multinational Westinghouse to pay $5 million for each one of the 5 American engineers working on the construction of a thermoelectrical generator in Barranca Bermeja, the community, the empowered community, acted as a mediator. The guerrilla abandoned the blackmail. The community protected the plant. And today the result is the project of Ciudadela Educativa, educational citadel, something like this, where more than 4,000 children go to school and 3,000 families are participants in a process of integral development. When the paramilitary troops created panic in the mountains, forcing people to abandon their land, the communities organized themselves. People decided to stay there in civil resistance. Men and women took the position of peace negotiators. The result was the project of humanitarian spaces in the most difficult areas of Medium Magdalena Valley. When confusion and terror spread in the territorial communities, the youngest opened the community radio stations to generate solidarity, to protect truth and confidence, to invite everybody to stay and to keep hope, to teach people the meaning and ways of human sustainable development. This resulted in the project of the network of community radio stations. We have now 20 community radios and a big one covering the whole region. When for many others, the only alternatives to the lack of land, roads, and credit was the coca production, the cocaine past production, in alliance with the illegal armed groups, people started the project of peasant farms with Little Banana. We export Little Banana. It's now 50 months. We send a container every week to Europe by plane. Tropical fruits, beans, timber, and other products, and the construction of peasant roads. More than 90,000 people are taking part directly in these projects today. well, everything hasn't been that easy. We have done a lot of mistakes. But, you know, we understood that we have to work together. The Medium Magdalena has to be built up with all the inhabitants and the social actors, or it is impossible. And we meant everybody. This is probably the most difficult principle we have to put into practice. Nobody can be excluded. Nobody is to be threatened or disappeared. Nobody is to be driven from his or her home. Each one of us is important. And we realize that to work together in the construction of a territorial community, we have to change, all of us. The politicians and bureaucrats have to end corruption and impunity. The guerrillas and paramilitaries have to free the kidnapped and have to lay down their weapons. The landowners have to share their land. The corporations and firms have to give priority to local development. And religious people have to practice love and solidarity that excludes nobody. We have to abandon our prejudices, our hates, our vengeances, our greed, and we have to work for truth, justice, and reconciliation. We try to foster dialogue with everybody. We discovered this necessity of coming together, and we painfully have learned that we have to maintain this principle in the national, regional, and global level. Many people have come together to make this happen. Our work involves partnerships that may sound unlikely. The European Union, the World Bank, the United Nations agencies, USAID, the Colombian government, the people and the government of Japan, Switzerland, and Cuba, the Oil Workers Union, the State Oil Company, national and international human rights activists, women's organizations, the Catholic Diocese of Barranca Bermeja, and the Catholic Diocese of Vienna in Austria. At the heart of this process, though, are those whose lives are at stake. The poor majority, the women, the communities suffering from the conflict, the victims. Today, the increasing communication, cultural and economic interconnectedness among us, among our communities, has produced three effects. To make relevant that the human value of everybody, to make relevant the human value of everybody, to make evident the different ways of being human in different cultural and territorial environments, and to make relevant to the communities and organizations the necessity of participating together at different levels of responsibility in the common good. 12 years ago, when we started the Medium Magdalena process, we used to think we were doing local human development and looking for local peace agreements. Now we know we are working in a global perspective. We know then when we are growing tropical fruits, or building schools, or getting involved in the struggle for land for the peasants, that we are contributing for the same cause, that keep us in contact with you and with millions of people in the same common venture in this planet. And we want to contribute to the building of a global integrated common good based on principles of justice, peace, cooperation, freedom, and people participation. We know that justice and peace cannot